What if there was a way to help detox your body, boost your mood, burn calories, and get glowing skin in just under 45 minutes a day? That would be pretty cool. And the good news is that there is. And my guest today is sharing the secret to elevating your at-home wellness routine. We're diving into the world of infrared light, PEMF, and red light, and discussing the many benefits of infrared saunas. If you've been interested in learning more about red light therapy and potentially trying it out for yourself, you'll definitely want to tune into this episode. I'm joined by Lauren Berlingeri, one of the founders of HigherDOSE. Lauren's discussing her background and what inspired her to start HigherDOSE. She's also going to explain some of the differences between infrared saunas and traditional heat saunas. And she's going to share everything you need to know about when and how to use infrared saunas, plus some of the benefits of detoxing daily. HigherDOSE makes some amazing products. They make a sauna blanket that, for those of us who don't have enough room in our houses for a traditional sauna, are a great backup. When you're not using it, you can just slide it under a bed or a couch. And if you're going to use the sauna blanket, I definitely recommend that you get the bamboo liner that goes with it, because it just makes using it so simple. The other product that they have that is really quite spectacular is a red light mask. And this is amazing for stimulating collagen in your skin. It's great also right before bed. So there's lots of great products on their website. If you decide you want to shop for anything, you're going to want to go to the link that's in the show notes. I'll read it to you here, but it's a little bit wonky. It's bit.ly/HDNAT1515. And you'll want to use code NAT1515 to save yourself 15%. Now, to learn more about HigherDOSE, all you have to do is go to HigherDOSE.com and you'll get to see all the products that they have. But that link will also work for you as well. All right, guys, last housekeeping bit before we launch into the episode. Number one, if you're looking to connect with me, you're going to want to go to natnidham.com. And that's where you're going to get information about all the different ways that we can connect. That includes the Facebook group, which is the Optimizing Superhuman Performance group. It includes my private community on Mighty Networks called BSP Community. There's a tab at the top of the page on my website that talks about the BSP community. It includes information about my retreat, my upcoming retreat in the Dominican Republic from November 1st to 6th, the third Women's Longevity and Resilience Retreat. If you have any interest in doing a women's retreat, you definitely want to look into this. So just go to natnidham.com and go to the retreat tab at the top of the page. That's it for now, guys. I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you soon. Hey, folks, just a quick reminder that all of the information presented in this podcast is for information purposes only. No medical advice, no diagnosing, no treatments suggested here. Before you try anything that you hear about or learn about here, make sure that you check with your medical provider. Lauren, it is such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, me too. So Lauren, as you guys know, if you've listened to the intro, although some people seem to zip through the intro, I don't know why they would do that. Lauren's here. She's the CEO of the HigherDOSE company. And I was going to say, I think it's the HigherDOSE company because you've definitely over time have expanded your offerings. So maybe how we could get started is you could just talk to us a little bit about how you got started in this, why you're in this space in the first place. Like it's not an easy path, I think, to decide to create something and market it out to the world kind of thing. So what inspired you to take this on?
So my background, I was an international model for 15 years and turned into, sports model, which I was much more happy in. Always had very unhealthy habits, Diet Coke, cigarettes, body dysmorphia, always stressed about the way that I looked, and actually found IIN back, I think 12 years ago now. And that's an amazing nutrition school. Knew that I wanted to learn about nutrition because I was tired of just not knowing how to look and feel my best.
Yeah.
It really unlocked this passion that I had that I didn't realize I had. I remembered every single module. I couldn't wait to listen to them. I got obsessed with the philosophies and deep dived into all of them and just really finally found my passion. And about, I would say 10 years ago, I was also asked to host a show called Women versus Workout, which was a really cool YouTube series that I really push everyone to watch because it's so positive and it was so much fun for me to film. But I got to do really cool things like NASCAR driving, motocross. I did 24-hour Hell Night with Navy SEALs.
Wow.
Firefighter training, anything physically challenging that was kind of insane that you'd want to model, you would want to watch a model try to tackle. That was kind of the concept of the show. Really cool show. But during that time, I was working out too much. I would run 10 miles in the morning, then do Muay Thai at night, trying to stay up with my, fitness and athleticism in order to really tackle these experiences on Woman versus Workout. And during that time, I really discovered that it wasn't that healthy for me to be working out that much, which was mind-boggling to me. I couldn't sleep through the night. I would sleepwalk and make myself oatmeal, and I couldn't stop myself from doing this in order to just calm my nervous system down so I could sleep. My skin was a mess. My hormones were a mess. And yet here I am, have all this knowledge on nutrition and wellness and what I should be eating, but still was very unhealthy.
Interesting.
And actually at that time too, as well, I was hired at a startup called Aloha, and my job was product development. As my nutrition background, I was a part of a big team, but I got to, pretty much interview the most influential people in the wellness space, from doctors, naturopaths, fitness experts, and just pick their brains on what supplements they're taking, what technologies do they love, what kind of philosophies do they adhere to. And I discovered the infrared sauna. Never heard of the infrared sauna before, but yet all my years of modeling and traveling around the world and living all through Europe and Turkey, and my background's Italian, Norwegian, originally from Canada, like you, Natalie.
Nice.
I always did sauna and found it really difficult once I moved to the States, to New York City, to find a really good sauna. And it was just mind-boggling to me. I'd be a member of the best gym, and yet the sauna wasn't even really that hot. So when I discovered the infrared sauna from an amazing doctor, Dr. Frank Littman, originally from South Africa, he told me he pretty much puts every single one of his clients in the infrared sauna. And I was like, infrared, what does that even mean? So I went and looked up the only one that existed in New York City. And it was this really weird experience in a colonic center behind a curtain, really dodgy, in a basement, and went and tried it and was just immediately hooked. I was so impressed with the immediate benefits, which, as most of you know, with a lot of health and wellness things, sometimes it takes months, multiple sessions in order for you to see any difference. Whereas with the infrared sauna, I felt the immediate benefits. I felt calm and connected, which is really hard to experience in New York City. I slept through the night for the first time, and I don't know how long. My nervous system just felt so calm and relaxed. My skin was glowing, and I'm addicted to sweating as a fitness junkie. So I got to workout without working out effortlessly, but felt better than I normally do from workouts. So the lights just went off, and I was like, I need to start my own business around infrared. And I didn't know how to do that. Originally, my idea was maybe I'll bring it to fitness. There's these hot yoga studios that I'm obsessed with. They use disgusting heat. I never felt as good as I did when I went in the infrared sauna. Maybe we should start installing infrared panels in yoga studios. And that's actually how the business started. So we were the one to bring infrared to Y7, to Yoga Vita. But my business partner and I quickly realized that was a really bad business model, because it's really hard to sell. It's really hard to sell clunky units to yoga studios who really don't have that much money, and also to build a brand around it. So we got tipped off from Clearlight, who made our panels, that we should open up these kind of tanning salon models with infrared instead of tanning booths. So we were like, okay. So we opened up our first location with a small friends and family round of like $70,000. And as soon as we opened, we had these influencers that would come in and find us because they've heard of infrared before. It's their job to sort of look and feel their best. And they knew about it. So we would have like Hannah Brofman posting about herself in the infrared sauna and tagging us. And we kind of joked that we never needed to do any marketing for like 3 years.
I love that.
People would come in and feel that high that you get from the infrared sauna immediately. And they would take this like sexy sauna selfie. And we were booked out. It was awesome. It was really awesome. Yeah. And just like that, HigherDOSE was born.
So why don't we talk a little bit about infrared versus straight heat? Because there's a real difference physiologically on the body when you apply infrared, like when you do an infrared sauna versus a straight, get as hot as you can possibly get sauna.
Yeah, and I love both. I currently do both right now for the different host of benefits that I get from it. But what I love about infrared saunas is that it is on the light spectrum. So it is a light therapy. And what it does is it heats your core body temperature. And what it does is vibrates water molecules that are deep within the body and pushes out toxins within the body. So it's actually an amazing detoxifying tool because you can heat the body at a much lower temperature than you can with traditional saunas. With traditional saunas, you're heating the air, not the body.
Right.
So, which is also really good. But what the body is trying to do is just cool itself down immediately. So you get this more cardiovascular kind of endurance benefit. Whereas infrared, you get this more detoxifying, vibrating water molecules, pushing out toxins benefit. But you're also heating the body at a much lower temperature. So it's much more gentle on the body so that the nervous system can immediately relax, down cortisol levels. And it actually puts your body into parasympathetic state, which I'm not sure about traditional saunas, but I would assume it sort of does the opposite, which we know a little bit of cortisol is good for you. But if you're in that state of wanting to heal or detox the body, you actually want to put your body in parasympathetic state because that's rest and digest. And that's when the body feels safe and calm to go into more of a healing place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's other whole list of benefits, like the skin benefits that you get from infrared, which we see in all of our beauty tools and lasers, how they use infrared technology to, increase blood flow and circulation, build collagen, which is amazing. It also does speed up your heart rate to the pace of a light jog, much similar to, a traditional sauna, but I would say a little bit less. Your body needs to work a little less to cool itself down. So you are burning some calories and you do release those endorphins. But the best part is the mood boosting benefits. And that's because of the light spectrum, right? So your eye picks up on the light spectrum, and it's very similar to the light spectrum that you get in the sun. So it tells your brain to release serotonin, which is the happy chemical that you release when you're in sunshine. So I think that's where most of the mood boosting benefits that you get, where you literally feel high after you come out of the infrared sauna. Hence why our tagline is all about getting high naturally and doing things that can make you feel and look your best.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So does the infrared go across physical barrier? Like when we're in, and I mean, I don't want to talk too much about specifically the sauna blanket yet, but when we're in the sauna blanket, we're either wearing clothes or we're in that cool little sauna blanket insert that you guys have, or we've got towels on top of us or underneath us. Like, is the infrared still able to? Obviously, it's able to go through that and
it's a
get to the body.
Yeah, it's a wavelength much similar to the sun. So when you're outside laying on a sunny day and you have all your clothes on, but that sun warms you up, it's warming your core body temperature exactly like how infrared does. So you can have your clothes on in there and it's warming the core with the wavelengths in light therapy. So it's actually really hard for people to understand until you get into an infrared sauna itself and you start taking like a video of yourself. You can see those invisible wavelengths appear. And it's much similar when you're outside on a beautiful day. Maybe the air is a little bit cool, but you're laying out in that sun and that sun's warming up the body and you can see those wavelengths bouncing off a stone or concrete or a rock because it's on the light spectrum, which is, I think, the reason why I prefer most of the time infrared saunas over traditional saunas is because I'm getting all those amazing happy chemicals released when I'm in an infrared sauna.
Yeah. So the happy chemicals is interesting and you bring those into your name, right? Dose is not just about a dose. Yeah.
Most people don't even know this unless you kind of follow us or you're a part of our newsletter, which we're constantly always talking about dose in our newsletter. But HigherDOSE, dose stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins, which are your four main happy chemicals. There's other happy chemicals like norepinephrine, but this is kind of like a kitschy, fun way to communicate getting high naturally and releasing these happy chemicals. And there's some more obvious happy chemicals that you release, like serotonin, like I mentioned, from the light spectrum, then say oxytocin. But we kind of get around that one because, you know, initially we started off with infrared spa locations. We still sell our infrared sauna. When you go into an infrared sauna with someone naked and you're getting high and you got that runner's high and you're connecting, you connect to yourself. I always like give myself self massages or, you know, doing my body planing. I'm spraying myself with all sorts of like magnesium sprays and products that we've released that complement the infrared sauna. Sometimes I'm, you know, doing acupressure, meditation. You can release oxytocin and dopamine just by doing something healthy for yourself and connecting to yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, serotonin is the obvious one, and then endorphins, speeding up your heart rate to the pace of a light jog. You naturally release endorphins when you're working out too as well. So those are the two that we can kind of guarantee. And the other two, it's up to you to create.
Yeah, no, I love that. You also have this, let's talk a little bit about how people can best prepare their body before going into the infrared sauna, because
that's a tough question. Oh my gosh.
Pardon?
I could probably talk about that in a whole entire podcast.
Okay, well, let's maybe do a quarter of a podcast, because honestly, I think that preparing your body, getting your body ready for this process of releasing toxins, making sure that you have the right compounds on board to make sure that those toxins don't just go find another home somewhere, which is a big issue with when we're encouraging and pushing the body to move toxins. We want to make sure that they get shuttled out of the system and not relocated, kind of thing, right?
Make sure detox pathways are open.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, there's multiple things that you could do to manipulate that, to try to get that going. But some people might need extra help with their naturopath or doctor to get that process going. And I think that you'll know if your detox pathways are not open because you won't feel better after the sauna.
Yeah, you feel kind of crummy. Yeah.
You'll kind of crummy. You'll feel much more headachy. Your eyes might look polluted. And that just means that you're recycling the toxins that you're pulling out, which is not a good thing. So definitely, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that might feel that. It's not the end of the world. There are things that you can do about it, but you definitely want to work with somebody because you don't want to be circulating those toxins within the body. That's not a good thing. But I have 1,000 different tips on how you can get those detox pathways working. So
let's start with 5.
So I love draining the lymphatic system and getting the lymphatic system before. So, you know, I have multiple things for just that in itself. So I'll stick to like 3 for lymphatic, but I love the lymphatic system because that's our system that helps eliminate waste. There's no natural pumping system that happens. So you do need to manipulate your lymphatic system yourself. You can do that in multiple ways. It's probably why I always loved working out and going for a run, because naturally you're draining your lymphatic system. But if you need that extra push, and you'll know because most people that have their lymphatic system a little bit congested, you'll feel swollen lymphs. You might have a little bit more fluid on the body. But you want to get this going before you go into the sauna. So there's simple ways to do that. Definitely follow YouTube videos online about how you can just open up your lymph systems by lightly pushing on them. And there's multiple lymphs everywhere, but definitely want to focus on the ones under your armpits, in your groin. And I always love the ones that are along the neckline. Those ones are really important.
Yeah.
And what you want to do from there is have a practice like dry brushing. Love dry brushing. So rooted in ancient wisdom. People have been doing that for thousands of years. We launched a dry brush. We wanted to make it a little bit better. So we added copper bristles in there because when you use copper, it's antimicrobial, which is really amazing. But then also you emit negative ions when you brush your skin with copper. And then I also just feel like a lot of people are lacking in copper altogether, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So I always dry brush with our dry brush and just lightly stroke the skin in either circular motions or upwards towards your lymph nodes, the ones that you just opened up.
Perfect.
I love to do that. I love to rebound before. I have my
Mhm.
trampoline in front of my sauna. So I'll always jump on the trampoline before I go in, just 5 minutes. I like to do that one every day because it's so profound, easy on the joints. And it's such a great little workout too, as well, but really gets the lymph system moving and flowing. You can also just do things like hot water and lemon, just like sipping hot water throughout the day. We also launched a detox tincture, which I love because it's safe for people to use every day. There's no real binders in it. So if you are on some crazy heavy metal cleanse, definitely want to add on an extra detoxifier, but this is a gentle, safe one for every day. There's a lot of research around chlorophyll and infrared sauna
Nice.
and
Yeah.
detox anyways. And then we added things that are safe every day, like milk thistle, to the tincture. But I love this. And of course, magnesium, which I love magnesium too as well. I'll definitely talk about magnesium. It's an amazing mineral that most people are deficient in.
Hmm.
And it's responsible for over 300 functions within the body. And those functions include detoxification, sleep, relaxation, mood, so many different things.
Yeah.
And most of us are deficient in magnesium. So getting some form of magnesium into the body, either ingesting it, which is traditional, but a lot of people have gut issues. Transdermal is an amazing way to absorb magnesium. So I always spray my whole entire body with my magnesium oil before I get into the sauna and sauna blanket, because it really helps draw the toxins out, open up the pores, and push everything out while absorbing the magnesium, which is so good because you're absorbing it through the skin. So I'm not sure how many that were, but I have body planers. I
Yeah.
have so many tips for how you could get more out of your
Well,
sauna
I
experience.
think that's a good base. I think you covered the base. I had the rebounding written down, the dry brushing, and then the ingestibles. And then, so now for people who want to use a binder, like an activated charcoal or something like that, you would, or the other one that's a little bit more next level, and you have to be willing to put up with a little bit of physical discomfort, is the whole niacin flush concept. And
Yeah, I did it all.
yeah,
The niacin one is more intense. They do say that you want to work with a expert practitioner to guide you on that, because you can detox a lot
too
very
much.
quickly.
Yeah.
They actually used infrared saunas and niacin to detox 9/11 responders. Um, and what happened is they were sweating out like black and purple and just like crazy amounts of toxins with the combination of the two. And there's a whole protocol where you need to take fats afterwards and you want to slowly build up. But again, it is like a very quick way to detox very quickly. And again, you want to make sure those detox pathways are open, because that's another example of detoxing too quickly and then recycling the toxins within the body, and then it's storing in other places.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, the whole pathways, because people know obviously sweat is a pathway, but the urine, the breath, but then the bowel, right? And this is the one I think that people get in trouble with, because certainly with my clients, like the amount of constipation that we see in the market, and this is where magnesium can be very helpful as well. But getting that, people sometimes forget how important
going to the
moving.
bathroom is and removing waste daily.
Yeah. Yeah. Like on the daily. And you hear about people getting really poor advice sometimes from conventional circles, in that, oh, well, as long as you're going every couple of days or once a week, you're good.
Yeah, I kind of, have been pushing a lot and educating around daily detox and what you can do for that. There's so much you can do to abstain from certain chemicals by choosing healthier products and cleaner water.
Yeah.
But then there's also just so much toxins in the air and things that you can't control. And I've been orthorexic before, where I just worried so much and it would stress me out. And that's not healthy either. So I'm all about, obviously making very healthy lifestyle choices for me. But then from there, just kind of like letting go and relaxing and just focusing on, how do I detox every day?
Yeah.
I don't have time to do the sauna. I don't feel like sweating. What do? I do my dry brushing. I have my detox tinctures. I do my hot water and lemon. I do my rebounding. I love coffee enemas. It's just like a lifestyle for me
Yeah.
on ways that I could just feel my best, which is why I love the biohacking world
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so much amazing information there and so many amazing people like yourself that are bringing this like ancient wisdom and new science kind of together and showing people that there's so many things that we can do that you haven't been told about that can game change your health, but it's a lifestyle. You need to be thinking about how you could do this every day. It's not just, I'm going to detox for 2 weeks and then go back to my old ways. It
Yeah.
becomes this biohacking lifestyle. And it's such an amazing world to be in.
Yeah. And that's such an important point, and it's so funny because you'd get people, again, more out of the conventional space who really take exception with the concept of detox. Well, your body can detox. There's no, it's all snake oil, people selling you these detoxes. And I think what people forget is that we're clogged up. Like, as you said earlier, our lymphatic system isn't moving properly because we're sitting around all day long and our colon's not, like, our digestion's off. And so we're not eliminating the way that we need to be. Our pores are clogged up. And so or we just don't sweat. Like, if you think about it, how long can people go without ever working up a sweat? Well, most people, a really long time, because they either can't or don't have the time or don't have the practice of working out to the point where they're really sweating. And so this idea of bringing intentional practice to your everyday life at some level to support your body's detoxification pathways, and then bringing something in, if you have the bandwidth to bring in something like an infrared sauna and the rebound, like, going next level with it, to then help to kind of facilitate and push those toxins around, I think is such an important concept that people forget.
Yeah, I just constantly am telling people it's a lifestyle. It's not a magic blue pill. You really have to understand that and be committed.
Mm-hmm.
And, as you get on your health journey, you realize that you're peeling back an onion. So you're like revealing something else to work on, then something else, and then something else. And then COVID hits you and you get pushed back another 6 steps that you already thought you were like, kind of done and completed, or stress happens. There's so many things. So it's constant ebb and flow. And initially at the very beginning, I was kind of embarrassed to tell people that I'm always working on something, because then I'm like, well, then clearly it's not working if you're always working on something.
Yeah, the trap. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you're crazy. You're always working on something. But I'm like, I'm the best investment that I could possibly ever have. And I don't understand how everyone doesn't feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
And you still have to be mindful to just like not throw all your money at this. And there's so many amazing biohacks that are actually free, which I always love talking about. Actually, the most powerful ones are the free ones. But I do decide to invest into my health and myself and my families as number one, because there's nothing better than feeling and looking your best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're better people as a result. So let's talk about your favorite free biohacks, because I have a feeling they feed into part of what you do, right? Between the natural light exposure, which I don't know, I have a feeling that's going to come up.
I mean, light therapy is probably one of my favorite, technologies. And I think in order to understand the technologies, you kind of have to understand what we're trying to replicate here.
Yeah.
And a lot of the best wellness technologies are just trying to replicate nature at the end of the day. So I can start with that one.
Sure.
I, as a model, was always worried about my skin and aging, and I was always told sunscreen, until I realized that that wasn't necessarily what we're supposed to be told, because getting natural sunlight through the skin for like 20 to 30 minutes at peak time is actually really healthy. It's when you overdose, and it's all in the dosing with most of these lifestyle tips. It's all in the dosing, and you really have to be educated around that to know, because yes, of course, if I go to the beach and I don't wear sunscreen and I get burnt, that's so bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
But what I try to do is stay out of the sun, not wear sunglasses, but be outdoors. And then for an intentional 30, even 40 minutes, my kids, myself, expose as much skin as we possibly can and take in that sunlight, because you do want to get that natural vitamin D. You do want your eyes to pick up on the natural sunlight so you can release those happy chemicals. And there's so much with our circadian rhythm and our hormones that are based around sunlight.
Yeah.
And knowing that and understanding that is really amazing, because you can actually set your circadian rhythm just by waking up to the sun, watching the sun come up. And then which I find the second half to be more important, is watching the sun go down. For me, as someone that's always in front of artificial blue light, my computer's working all day long. I have strong boundaries that after, just before sundown, I don't get back on my device. I don't watch TV. I don't get on my phone. I try to watch the sun go down. And if I don't do that, I do my red light therapy, which mimics natural sunlight. And it's a very regenerative light and light spectrum, and tells your body to relax, calm down, release melatonin. It's time for bed, and not spike cortisol like blue light does through cell phone. So sunlight has so many benefits. I could probably go into 10 biohacks just alone with sunlight.
For sure.
I really love doing is, I'm a busy mom. I have twins. I am a co-CEO and co-founder. I don't always have time to do those things. They're not always practical. So that's why I love my little wellness technologies like red light therapy, which I have my blurred background, but you can see my whole red light spectrum there in the corner. Where if I don't have time to watch the sun go down, I sit in front of my red light for 20 minutes. I also do that when I meditate every day for 20 minutes. And there's a host of benefits for your hormones and your circadian rhythm, but there's also a host of benefits for skin, which is also really great too, because I love the biohacking world, because it really does give you things that make you feel your best, but also look your best, which is also important to us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned the red light panel, because I recently, I've always struggled where it's always in the wrong room or the wrong place, and I have to kind of make time for it. I moved my panel into my bathroom recently.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my God, like every night before I go to bed. And it was always a struggle, like, how do I turn the light on without like it all feels so bright. And so I use my red light panel as my light at night before bed. I'll always do like a 5-10 minute session in front of the panel, but just using that red light as the ambient light. And then also in the morning when I first wake up, to your point, like I'll sit in front of that light for 10 minutes and do a short meditation just to start my day. Because I live in a place where we haven't seen the sun, I don't think I don't know, days it feels.
Yeah, I'm from there, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I went
Like
back for the Christmas holidays and I was like inside.
Yeah.
Couldn't leave because it was freezing, no sunlight, like circulating all these like virus and everything. Yeah. We all got sick. It was like a nightmare. We're like, we're not going back to Canada for Christmas again. We're going to the sun. But I 100% agree. You have to try to think of, okay, I'm going to brush my teeth at night for 5 minutes. That's a perfect time to do your red light therapy. I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes. Might as well sit on my infrared PEMF mat in front of my red light panel and get your, light in. And it's all about stacking, because we really don't have time. And at HigherDOSE, that's what we really have tried to figure out is, one, how to make these amazing wellness technologies and biohacking technologies accessible to people, which means a lot of cases affordable, easy to use, travel friendly. And then also, how do we stack other technologies too on top of it? So for example, like our infrared PEMF mat that has 25 pounds of crystal therapy, we're adding in that PEMF technology that goes with the infrared, and then adding the crystals. So when you heat the crystals, it promotes a natural infrared, and you're stacking these technologies, and you stack that on your meditation practice, and then you find time for it every day. And that's when it's the most beneficial, is when you're doing it multiple times in a week to get those benefits. And that's the lifestyle thing that I'm talking about.
Exactly. It's I call it effortless stacking, right? Yeah. Because it's just, if you're doing one thing, you can be applying 2 or 3 other things at the same time. Or like I have my friend Freddie Kimmel. I don't know if you've met him, but he's got a great podcast called Beautifully Broken, but he's got a wall of red light in front of a vibration plate that he stands on every single morning and does his exercises on the vibration plate in front of the red light. It's, people might look at us and think we're crazy, but at some level it's like, and again, it's about getting yourself into that mindset and that headspace of joy and relaxation. There's the there's the natural chemicals that your body will release while you're doing it. But there's also this sense of caring for yourself that puts you in a better state for the rest of the day.
Health into your own hands, I think, is such an important thing. And I think COVID definitely highlighted that for us.
Yeah.
We all need to be responsible for our own health because no one else is thinking about it for you. So it's such an important thing to be thinking about. And really, there is so many amazing things out there. It just takes a little education and following thought leaders like yourself and learning about it, and investing into it. And then also just tapping into what it is that my body needs today. Like, I don't want to put so much pressure on myself that if I don't do my red light, 2 to 3 times a week, then, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? My morning routines, my nighttime routines change all the time. I think it's really important to kind of just like tap into what it is that you need in that time, because there really is endless things out there that you could be doing to look and feel your best. You just kind of need to figure out what serves you in that time, and change it up, change it up, change it up.
Yeah, no, I love that. So going back to the red light sauna. So, what's optimal is probably to use it like 3 times a week, would you say? Like, is there a time of day that you feel is more beneficial to people than others? Because going back to the light and to nature, we will see infrared rays when the sun's coming up and when the sun's coming down. So do you feel like there's a better time of day for people to get that detoxification process going? Or like, is it better at the beginning of the day when you're going to be moving all day long, hopefully? Or is it maybe something that's better to be doing in the evening? I mean, I personally don't like to get super hot too close to bedtime, because then it's hard for my body to cool down, even though I've got a system on my bed to help cool things down, you're just pushing lots of levers all the time. And those things, and to your point, because the infrared kind of goes so deep into the body at a cellular level, like releasing that heat's going to take time.
Yeah. And it's really hard to give you that answer because I do feel like it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
There's a lot of research out there too, as well, that you can follow, but a lot of research has been done on men too, and doesn't always consider women and where women are at hormonally.
Yeah. So let's talk. I want to talk about that as well, actually. Yeah. Go ahead.
So different times of the month, I feel like I'm a totally different person. Like a week and a half before I even get my period, I don't do any cold therapy at all, because it releases too much cortisol. And then I end up spiking blood sugar, and I need to do more calming and relaxing things and not cold therapy. Whereas the first 2 weeks of my cycle, that's the time to be doing as much cold therapy as you possibly want. And then as well, like just thinking about as we get older and, when you want to have a baby, there's a different protocol that you want to do. When you have the baby and you want to get your body back, there's a different protocol. And then you think of menopause. So women are much more complex creatures than men, who are mainly on a 24-hour cycle. They kind of always are trying to achieve the same thing. And they do well with that. They're like habit. They do really well with that. Whereas women, totally not, which I think has been one of the main reasons why women have always naturally been turned off by the whole biohacking world in the first place, mainly because it is totally male dominated. It is backed in so much science and research, which doesn't always apply to us. It's always through the male lens of, faster, stronger, bigger, stronger, smarter.
Yeah.
Where those aren't always our goals, especially mine change constantly depending on those times in my life and times in my cycle and whatnot. So I always do really express to women to, again, try to tap into, how am I feeling today? Not, I need to get into my sauna blanket because I need to burn those calories. It's more like, I really don't feel like I need to get really hot right now. I already feel hot. I feel super dehydrated, like it's the last thing that I feel I intuitively want to do.
Yeah.
Especially with things that are a little bit more extreme, like cold therapy, like fasting, that can really spike cortisol. The thing I love about infrared and red light therapy is that they are more regenerative, more relaxing. You don't always have to worry as much. Mind you, if you are like Pitta, Ayurvedic, very hot, and you're having all these like skin issues and inflammation, you might want to just be careful with how much infrared and saunaing you're doing, because you want to just try to balance that heat a little bit. But that's pretty much my only real concern with infrared is too much heat in the body and dehydration. Whereas red light, I feel like you can't really mess that one up, It's definitely by far my favorite wellness technology, because there's so much research behind red light therapy, because it so perfectly mimics sunlight, and we naturally, our whole bodies were created around that. So I feel like you can play around with that a lot more than you could say some of these other biohacks or cold therapy or even, infrared sauna. That, mind you, if you look at the studies for infrared and after 5 o'clock, you release more human growth hormone if you do it past 5 o'clock. And you get so many like of these amazing benefits by raising your core body temperature and then having your body try to cool yourself down during sleep too as well. There's a ton of research around that. But again, if it's not serving you in the phase of your life and you're waking up in a pool of sweat and you're continuing to detox and there's too much heat and you feel like restless leg, like it's probably not what you should be doing at that time, or you should be applying cold therapy afterwards. So you really do need to have this relationship with yourself and your body. I really do encourage people within this whole biohacking space, because just because it works for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Absolutely. I love that. And interestingly, is there any research yet around menopausal women and infrared or sauna? Because I feel that for women going, and, we've got our perimenopausal woman, we have our woman going through the heat of menopause, and now we've got a postmenopausal woman. So, a woman who's in her cycling years is a different woman for 4 times a month kind of thing. But then, as we get older and we now have 3 other stages to get through. Yeah. And detoxification, helping the body to get rid of excess estrogen or whatever the case may be, it becomes really, really important. Do you know of any research that's around using red light therapy or sauna for women in or going through menopause? Or is that, because I can't imagine it's there. There's so little, to your point.
Well, that's the thing.
Specific. So, yeah.
We actually just launched a new series called Hot Seat, where we interview people in the sauna and do a cold plunge afterwards. It's really cute. Nice. I'll have to get you there when you're in New York next. But I interviewed this woman named Stacey London, who actually pivoted her whole career to menopause and the lack of support women have when going through menopause from their doctors and just basic care.
Yeah.
And then from what I learned from Peter Attia, that hormone replacement therapy and just supporting women going through menopause has been the biggest miss in the medical system.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that there's real information for women going through menopause, which is such a shame. And I think that there's a lot of people trying to do something about that. And again, I don't know why that is. And maybe because people go through menopause so differently that it's so hard to research, because hormones are such a wild thing and there could be 1,000 different things contributing. I really don't know why the science isn't there. But again, and I feel like I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over again, tap into how you feel afterward. Sure. If you're in menopause and you're having hot flashes and you go into the sauna and you don't feel better, you don't have deeper sleep, you feel like super dehydrated and headachy and just not good, I would say that's not the thing that you would need. Whereas I could imagine it could be very helpful for a lot of women. Yeah. But I also think that naturally going through menopause, that cold therapy might be a little bit better for you, especially if you are going through the hot flashes, whatnot. But what I do know is that naturally doing hot and cold therapy, sorry, I have my little puppy who's like biting my hands and he's just wanting to play right now. But when you do hot and cold therapy, especially together, it's supposed to help your body with regulation of your temperature.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I first started doing it, I felt it was so hard to warm up afterwards. I was like so cold for like 6 hours afterwards. And I was trying to let my body warm up naturally, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to jump back in the sauna. And like my brain wouldn't work properly. And And again, I was careful about when I was doing it around my cycle, because that definitely made it worse. But the more I did it, the more naturally my body was able to take temperatures without, going into shock, because that's kind of where the medicine is.
Yeah. It's an adaptation. It's like thermogenic flexibility. We talk about metabolic flexibility, and it's thermogenic flexibility. And it's almost like teaching your body how to, again, because we live in this artificial world where everything's temperature controlled, right? And so it's almost like, have we lost the ability to re-regulate our body temperature when we're exposed to extreme heat or extreme cold? And so could it be that these contrast therapies, which people talk about, and actually in certain cultures, they will go from sauna to cold and back to sauna and back to cold. And it's almost like, pumping the body's systems in a way, and reestablishing that flexibility in the body to be able to adapt to different extremes in temperature. I think that's really,
it's heat shock proteins. There's a lot of new science coming out around this, but I always love to, in the biohacking world, to also look to nature when you replicate technologies, but look to ancient wisdom, to like,
yes,
what we've been doing for thousands of years, and how do we get back there? There's a reason why people were doing hot and cold therapy in every country, not communicating it as a part of their culture.
mm-hmm.
It's because people naturally could feel those benefits and how it's good for you. And I do agree with hormesis. You shouldn't be exposing yourself to these life stressors so that your body, boosts that immune system, revs up the body, and knows that, oh, I need to cool myself down. Ooh, I need to warm up that temperature, and just kind of pushing yourself with these different kind of like extreme practices of extreme cold or extreme hot, because that's the healthiest thing for you. And like you said, it's an artificial world. We're always like in heat controlled places. We forgot what it's like to do that. And it's one of the healthiest things for our body. Because when you do get ill, you want your body to be like, oh, I need to fix that. Let me rev this up. Let me do that, instead of it kind of being confused and not really pushed to its max before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so let's move to let's get a little specific about the sauna blanket, because definitely there's pros and cons to it. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast. I mean, the most obvious reasons to get a sauna blanket are, number one, you can't afford your own big giant, like big sauna, and so space and budget, right? Mm-hmm. Space and budget. And number three, and this is something you touched on, is access. Like, anybody who lives in a major city can probably find a spa or a gym or a something that has a sauna in it. But now that means you have to go there. And it's one more, quite apart from cost, it's one more barrier to making it part of your natural practice, whether it's daily or 3 times a week, whatever it is that works for you. So the luxury of having something like this in your home, available to you whenever you need it, is a really, I think it can't be overstated, right? It's just an amazing thing. Like, I mean, I look around at all the things I have, and I'm very fortunate to have a lot of these things. And, my husband keeps joking because I'm like spilling over into other rooms of the house now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's so that everybody gets to use it, dear. So.
I usually have to steal my technology from my husband. He'll like be sitting there with my red light face mask on his head, and he takes all my skincare products, and he actually like adopted this biohacking lifestyle very easily. Let's just say that.
Good for him. Good for him. My guy's like a little less. He keeps referring to things at that squeezy thingy. That's the katsu band, or the red light thingy. Like, okay, you know what? we're going to have to progress in the language here.
So funny.
You need to pay attention. Anyway, so let's talk a bit about the blanket, because the concept as a blanket, I think to some people is very appealing, and to other people, they're like, yeah, I don't know how that's going to feel for me. And so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we started out with infrared spa locations where we just offered the infrared sauna. And we have our own custom HigherDOSE sauna that we created with Clearlight because they have the best technology, but we made it a little bit more industrial sauna. that was used to more wear and tear, because we literally would run those saunas from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, back to back. We did 30-minute sessions, hour sessions. At one point we had 11 locations in New York City. Like, it just blew up. But what was the issue is we were always asked to do these pop-up events, and we could never lug around, a 600-pound sauna.
Yeah.
Right. So what we did is we looked at these rudimentary versions of sauna blankets, because there was a place called Shape House in LA where they literally had you packed in like sardines in front of a TV, and you would go and you do a Shape House sauna blanket. And we tried that and we were like, oh my gosh, wow, we feel amazing. So we ended up buying our own online, and we would do these pop-up events, and people loved it, like absolutely loved it. They kept asking us where they could buy it. And we were like, oh man, I guess we should be selling sauna blankets. But the issue is that once we started to do our research in it, per Clearlight just advising us, they were like, you guys have to really be careful, because these things have super high EMF, and they're made of these toxic materials that are not good for people. Mm-hmm. And that was a big problem for us, right? You don't want to be selling something that you wouldn't use yourself. Yep. So that was really the opportunity for us to make it better. We found the best manufacturer that was not creating that, but was creating something very similar. And we came to him with our design, and we said, here's how we need to make it better. It needs to be absolutely no EMF, because that's just absolutely wrong. For example, our sauna blanket now has 0.03 milligauss, which is virtually nothing, but we still have to mention that there is some less than our saunas do, because they're much smaller. But the sauna blankets that we originally sourced would surge up to 40 milligauss, which is like a crazy amount of EMF. And the more you learn about EMF, your cell phone that you have, your earbuds that you put right into your ear.
Yeah, I hate those.
It is crazy. It goes up to like 17, 18 milligauss, and it's like in your ear, or your Apple Watch. We're surrounded by EMF, but if you're going to be doing something healthy for yourself, the last thing that you want to do is put in dirty energy into that. So that was like a non-negotiable. And then the second thing is, if you're going to be detoxifying the body, you want to make sure that you don't put any chemicals back into the body with these products that were off-gassing as soon as you got them. It was disgusting. So we really worked our butts off to make the best version that we possibly can, that had low EMF and that were toxin-free in the materials. And during that process, we're also like, well, why not add crystals in there, like these other mats that are on the market? Because when you heat those crystals, they produce a natural infrared. Why not add things in there that can help increase blood flow and circulation? So if you're going to be detoxifying and pulling those toxins out, you got something that's really helping push it out through the body. We also added our charcoal layer, which is extremely detoxifying in itself, but we grounded that technology into our charcoal layer so that it's a grounded mat and has no ELF as well as no EMF. So we just went above and beyond to make something that we felt was comparable to the infrared sauna. Mind you, it is a far infrared sauna blanket. So it is just that one spectrum, whereas our saunas have near and mid too as well, which you cannot have near mid in a sauna blanket, because when you get into our infrared saunas, those are the ones that are behind that real like red glowing hot panel that has a guard on it that could literally burn you if you're in it. So, but one of the most famous spectrums of all full spectrum is the far, because that's the detoxifying, that's increasing the blood flow and circulation. That's the downing cortisol and, putting your body into parasympathetic and the stress release. And you get this amazing skin detoxification too, as well. It's crazy. Your like skin is glowing afterwards. I always exfoliate naturally when I'm in there, which is really gross, and you're still getting that, raising the heat in your body, your core body temperature. So you get those heat shock proteins that are the benefits of thermal, therapy. So you're getting all these like host of benefits. And then some people love it because you get wrapped in and you can like lay down and you can, watch a movie. You could be working on your computer. You don't have to totally disconnect like you do with the sauna, which is appealing to some people, but not to everybody.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in mine last night, and interestingly enough, I zoned out. I thought I would be lying there really bored because I didn't plan ahead. I didn't have my phone available. I could have been listening to a podcast or listening to a book or watching a movie. kind of multitasking. And interestingly enough, now that you mention it, I felt like I just kind of drifted the whole time.
Yeah, that's probably the downing the cortisol and putting the body into parasympathetic state,
Yeah.
because it just literally feels like this warm hug. And a lot of people fall asleep within the first 20 minutes of it.
Yeah.
But then when you stay in for the full 45-minute, 50-minute session, the intensity really starts to happen about the 30-minute mark. That's when you start to profusely start sweating.
Yeah.
The heart rate speeds up and you get more of that like detoxifying sweat that you traditionally get in the sauna. It just takes a little bit longer to get there. But some people use the sauna blanket just for that 20, 30 minutes of relaxation, you know, and if again, you're worried about getting too hot before you go to bed, you could just use your sauna blanket for 20 minutes before you get into bed and not really, you know, take it to the full 50 minutes where you do get really hot and sweat. But yeah, that being said, still might not be for everyone. Like I still have my infrared sauna here and I love it. I still do that way more than I do my sauna blanket. I usually only do my sauna blanket when I need to travel somewhere, or if I don't have anyone that can help me watch the kids and I don't want to like go outside to my infrared sauna. So there's a lot of reasons why I do naturally, you know, go towards the sauna itself. I also like to do my dry brushing in there.
Mm-hmm.
But for people that don't have access to an infrared sauna, don't, you know, have the space for an infrared sauna and can't afford it, there's like 1,000 reasons why someone might not have a sauna in their home. The sauna blanket is an amazing solution for that. And you get all those amazing benefits.
I love it. Yeah. And to your point, it's portable. Like I have a place in the summer that we go to on the weekends. And, you know, I'm not, until I get a sauna built there, which is the plan. My sauna blanket's going to be making the trek up and down the highway with me. So how about, what was I going to ask you? I wrote something down. So you just answered one of my questions actually, which was how long do people need to stay in there to get the effect? So it sounds like at different times, you're going to get different benefits. So you could be in there for a shorter period of time, 20 to 30 minutes. But at 30 minutes is when that kind of deep detox and the heat really kind of kick in.
Correct. Yeah. It's the sauna happens much quicker.
Yeah.
The sauna blanket, it does take a little bit longer, but people really do enjoy that 20 to 30 minutes. They usually fall asleep if they need to, or they zone out or go into a deep meditative state, which is amazing for a lot of people. But if you do want to get that deep detoxifying sweat, that calorie burn, that endorphin rush, then you do want to stay in for like 45, 50 minutes, unless you're just like the easiest sweater on the planet. Like I know some people start sweating almost immediately. And for anyone out there that does have issues sweating, there are things that you could do to raise your core body temperature before you go into the sauna blanket, like hot water, lemon, and cayenne pepper. I always like to do somewhat of a workout before. We launched our Get Salty magnesium spray, which gets me sweating in no time. And then we also launched our healing oil, which is an organic castor oil that has warming essentials and magnesium in there, because the sauna blanket's so cool. It acts like this big castor oil pack, right? Because
nice.
And then you put the organic cold pressed castor oil healing oil on you that has warming essentials and magnesium, and that makes you sweat even more because it's raising the core body temperature. So you sweat like crazy with that.
Yeah, it's always been fascinating to me that I have my mom, like it is almost impossible to get her to sweat. It's the funniest thing. Like she's just not a sweater. And then you get other people who, to your point, they just start moving around and they start to glow. Yeah. Next thing you know, they're dripping with sweat. It's an interesting concept. And, you know, I would think that it's the inability to sweat is something that has to somehow be trained back into the system, because as we've said a few times here, it is a critical piece of the equation for the body to release certain components out of the system. It's one of our biggest organs of elimination, the skin.
Yeah, it's almost like crying too. It's like such an emotional release, and it's like the same thing as sweating. It's like such a physical release.
Yeah,
both are so important. I was one of those people that couldn't cry for like 6 years, and I know what it did for me, and it was such a problem. And then when I was able to finally like let go and release, it's like it was all in there. It's not that it's not in there. It's in there. You just need to kind of push yourself to be able to release it. But I'm not a doctor. I don't really know like if people that don't sweat are genuinely more unhealthier than people that do sweat.
No, I don't think they're unhealthier. I just think it's a good skill. It's a good thing to have access to.
It really is a great thing. Like I feel like there's nothing that can make me feel better than a good sweat session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm right there with you. So, okay. And then you've got, so HigherDOSE has the sauna blanket, and then you've talked a little bit also about the PEMF mat.
Yeah, we really love the PEMF mat. Again, it's for the people that don't want the commitment of sweating, but love the healing benefits of infrared. And they want it more in a recovery form. There's so many amazing benefits for infrared, depending on how you use it and depending on your goals and whatever it is that you're working on, you'll get a different benefit every single time you use the sauna. But not everyone likes to sweat. Not everyone wants the commitment of sweating because then you got to shower afterwards. But there's so many calming, healing, recovery benefits from just being on an infrared heated mat. So we decided to create our infrared PEMF mat, and we thought of other technologies that would complement infrared in the sense of recovery, in the sense of calming down and relaxing, in the sense of just being like this all around amazing tool to down cortisol levels. And PEMF is one of those great technologies that have been around forever, that is extremely healing, that is very grounding and increases blood flow and circulation and is really great for recovery. And we've seen it paired with heat before. So with our infrared PEMF mat, we knew we wanted to have those two technologies. And at the time, no one else was doing that, the infrared PEMF mat. And then we paired it with the 25 pounds of crystal therapy so that we could deepen the infrared and just mimic nature, like laying on a hot stone in Arizona, coolish day with the sun shining on the stone, warming your body. Like we all know how that feels. You feel calm, connected, grounded, you know, you're getting all these like healing frequencies from the earth and nature, melting away anxiety and stress. And it's just so good for you. So our infrared PEMF mat replicates that, and you can literally leave it running all day long. I'm sitting here on mine. It sits on my desk chair because we have a Go mat version and a longer one, but we have it running all day long. My animal's obsessed with it. We can't get the animal off of it. My kids are obsessed with it. My husband falls asleep on it. We all fight over it. It's so good. And you just feel it. Like forget about the research and everything I just told you. Just feel it. And it speaks for itself.
Yeah. But there is a lot of research behind PEMF. I mean, pulse electromagnetic frequency, it's, you know, accessing those frequencies that allow, again, like we're getting into the body at a cellular level. We're allowing the cells to do what they do best. And people who listen to my podcast have heard me say this countless times. They're probably ready to, you know, poke my eyes out for this, but it's how far upstream can we get to help the body do what it does best? Yeah. Because once you get that far upstream, it's amazing how much just falls into place. And
let the body do what it's meant to do. Just support it. That's all it needs, is a little bit of support. And you will feel that. Go into it not with any expectation and just feel it.
Yeah, no, I love that. So, did we leave anything out? I want to be respectful of your time, but
oh man,
I mean, there's the face mask. We didn't even talk about the face mask. Like you've got this, so you could be lying in your blanket. You're lying in your sauna blanket with your red light face mask on. So you're taking care of your skin. You're taking care of your inner body. Like you're doing all the things, right?
Yeah. So red light's amazing. I have a full body panel. There's so much benefits of exposing your whole entire body to it. Yeah. But again, HigherDOSE, what we're trying to do with a lot of this stuff is just make it accessible to people and easy to use so that you will use it over and over again. So what we did is we created our first product, which is our red light infrared face mask that goes onto the face. It straps on with 3 straps. It's portable, rechargeable battery. You could be moving about your house, doing your yoga flow. It stays on. It's pretty much why I have no excuse not to be doing red light therapy 3 or 4 times a week effortlessly. I'm like on my computer, Zoom calls with it. It's amazing. And I highly suggest, it's a great intro to red light therapy. And you get all the amazing skin benefits. And like I said, if you're creative, you can put it on your head. You can put it on different parts of your body to get like the benefits of red light throughout the skin. We are launching a full body red light mat that you can lay on, that you can also hang, which is great.
Oh, nice.
We are launching a full body red light planer, which I'm really excited about, which is draining the lymphatic system. We have a whole bunch of red light products to come out with because, again, red light therapy is so amazing. Everyone should be doing that one. Guaranteed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Red light planer, is that like one of those scraper things you use for muscles? And so you're adding red light to that?
We're adding red light to that, and we're adding microcurrent to it as well.
Ooh.
So you can
Mm.
get a little microcurrent while you drain the lymphatic system, and then a little, lower level red light laser therapy for the skin too as well. So
Nice. So that would be a beautiful stack before you're getting into your sauna blanket, actually.
okay. So that's how we think about product. One, we don't want to launch anything that really doesn't have a ton of efficacious studies and benefits and results. We want to make sure people feel something and it's not just woo woo. That's really important to us. And then we're also building these rituals around our wellness tech to complement the wellness tech, amplify the benefits of the reason why they're doing the wellness tech in the first place, and build out these rituals for people. Because we know when you have a ritual around it,
Mm-hmm.
it goes so much deeper. You're
Yeah.
more willing to want to do it. You get more benefits out of it too as well. So we're ritualizing it for people because people are always asking me, how do I sweat more? How do I relax more? What do I do before my sauna? I'm like, after, during. So these products are all designed to create an amazing experience and get the most bang for your buck in a short period of time.
Yeah. And create your very own customized spa experience at home.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Well, this has been a fabulous conversation. Lauren, if you were going to give people one or two pieces of advice before we say goodbye, what would it be?
Oh man. So there's so many pieces of advice I would give. If you want to start a business, I would say test out whatever it is that you want to sell or operate first before you put a lot of dollars behind it. We did that at HigherDOSE, and it was the best way to grow. And also be open to pivoting too as well. We pivoted like 4 times within the business, just learning what people want from us and what
Mm-hmm.
problems we can solve. And then from a personal perspective, I feel like there's nothing better than connection. I feel like that's something that I consciously focus on every single day. I love connecting with people. I'm always trying to work on how to connect with people better, how to get my ego out of the way so I can be there of service to people. I feel like as a society, we're losing this art form of connection. And I think if people just focused on connection more, I think they would be happier.
Yeah. No, I love it. The connection piece is so important. So without that, I think we can biohack till the cows come home. We won't really get that grounded kind of peaceful feeling. So thank you for that. That's great. So thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you're wanting to learn more about HigherDOSE, where can they find you, Lauren?
So definitely check out HigherDOSE.com, on Instagram at HigherDOSE. I'm kind of okay on Instagram, but I'm definitely trying to educate and inspire around this amazing biohacking world. And definitely check me out, Lauren Berlingeri. And then we didn't get to talk about this, but I definitely feel like we're going to have another conversation. My business partner and I created this really cool series called Biohackers. It's about female biohacking, and that's where we deep dive into a lot of these experiences and act as guinea pigs so that you can, see how we, react and experience, biohacking through the female lens. It's amazing. It's a YouTube series.
Love
I
it.
encourage you to check that out too. That's Biohackers.
I love that. Thank you so much. And folks, we have a discount code for you if you decide that there's some things on the HigherDOSE website that you just can't resist. And I think you'll find it's hard to resist that website. There's lots of beautiful things there. And that discount code is NAT1515. So thanks again, Lauren. This has been a great conversation. I'm sure we'll do it again.
Thank you. Bye, Natalie.